Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. After Chad grills Paulina about exposing the public to radiation, Chanel falls ill in her office. Paulina tells Abe over the phone that she got the each clear from Kayla. There's not a trace of radiation in her system. Chad arrives as she hangs up. He got a tip that she abused her power and put public health at threat. She deduces this tip came from EJ. Hedging, Chad says he hasn't talked to his family in a while. He's just trying to get her side of the story on the record. At the cantina, Everett recalls his hypnotism session with Marlena, where he saw his menacing tone. Marlena enters and ignores his attempt to brush her off. She sits down to ask why he prevaricated to Stephanie about continuing hypnotism. Everett didn't want to make her out to be a quack in front of Stephanie, calling hypnotism a pseudoscience. The divorce papers are inked, and he's ready to move on with his life. Though taken suddenly, Marlena is happy to hear that, but suggests he continue remedy with someone differently. He says he wouldn't be doing that and leaves. After drowsing, Chanel and Johnny rush to the square so Chanel can open the bakery. As Stephanie happily waits for Chanel to open, she tells Johnny that Trip and Wendy left for Hong Kong. Johnny's surprised Wendy didn't say farewell. And repentant Chanel returns, instructing Stephanie to take anything she wants on the house. When Stephanie steps down, a distracted Johnny gapes off as Chanel addresses about setting up a display for May Day. In the square, Chanel makes an emphatic point to Johnny. Frowning, he stands with his reverse to her announcement. Given the each clear from radiation, Julie joins Maggie in the Kiriaki's living room. Maggie tells her she and Constantine are getting wedded. Julie calls it veritably generous, but hopes she'll financially cover herself. Maggie says he formerly inked a prenup. Since she's been so wise about it, Julie gives Maggie her support, but when the women clinch, Julie looks concerned. At Black Patch, Constantine activates the pawn by holding up the card to John. He needs the pawn to break into Maggie's safe and steal the prenup. Marlena knocks on the door, wondering why it's locked. Scarifying, Constantine flashes the card in front of the pawn's face, returning him to John. John opens the door. Both he and Marlena look around, confused, until Constantine explains he came by to invite them to his and Maggie's marriage. After Constantine leaves, Marlena can't understand what Maggie's thinking. She asks John what he said, but John can't flash back. Frustrated, he recalls the same thing passing many weeks ago with Constantine in the domain. He wonders what's going on with him. In the mayor's office, Chad gravely sits across the office from Paulina. She pocketbooks her lips in her office. Paulina says her leaving insulation was blown out of proportion. Chad counters someone could have been seriously hurt, including her. Paulina points out no bone was. She was acting as any upset parent would have, including him. What she did had minimum threat and everyone involved is just fine. In the square, Johnny tells an exhausted Chanel he'll check out further apartments while she's working. Still, he dreads the employment question since Trust Fund 20-something isn't exactly an occupation. Perhaps he should give EJ's offer more aloud. Chanel urges him to pursue his dream of making pictures. He points out there are no openings in Salem, and he'd no way conjure of asking her to move Toll.A. or New York. Both their lives are there. She asks if he's sure about that. He half-heartedly says of course. Announcement at his office, Everett looks over his shoulder. Stephanie stands in the door with a tense expression. Stephanie comes to the Spectator to drop off gifts for Thomas and Charlotte. Everett tells her Chad's out. She asks Everett if he's relieved his divorce papers are inked. He credits her with getting him over his disinclination to subscribe them and put it all behind him. Chad breaths in, and Stephanie gives him a bag of toys for the kiddies. Chad asks if she can come see them this weekend before leaving for another interview. Alone again, Everett tells Stephanie it's time to forget Bobby Stein and move on with his life. Stephanie points out there's still so much he doesn't understand about his history with Jada. Everett says he can't live life in the history. Carpe diem, baby. He calls getting shrunk a waste of time. Doctor Evans must agree because she discharged him from Remedy. Paulina tightly smiles at Johnny and Chanel in the square. Paulina comes to the square where Johnny and Chanel hand out ignited goods. She tells her son-in-law that EJ is out to get her and indeed enlisted Chad. Repentant, Johnny promises to put in a good word with his uncle Chad. Chanel suddenly feels queasy and brickbats to the bakery. Announcement: Constantine returns to the Kiriakis' manse where Julie congratulates him on his engagement. When she leaves to get breakfast, Maggie and Constantine bandy their marriage date. Maggie knows his visa expires at the end of the month. She promises not to let the deadline pass. When Chad enters to drop off the toys for the kiddies, he asks Constantine if he set up the card he was looking for. Constantine assures Chad he did and hardly watches him leave the room. In the foyer, Chad asks Julie how she feels about Paulina exposing her to radiation. Julie understands why she left insulation, but feels she put their lives at threat. She just thanks God she, Chanel, and Johnny didn't come ill. At Black Patch, Marlena muses that when John is with Constantine, he shuts down. His subconscious is trying to cover itself. But that's only one explanation, there could be another. Alone at the Kiriakis' manse, Constantine studies the pawn card. He says it was meant to be moment, but coming time, he'll get what he wants. At the Spectator, Everett tells a dubious Stephanie that he and Dr. Evans agreed that fastening on the then and now is stylish. Stephanie recalls that he was making progress until he freaked out during hypnotism. He lies that Marlena considered that advance. Now, he's agitated to start making new recollections. Hopefully, with you. Chanel weakly returns to Paulina and Johnny in the square. Johnny worries she's having symptoms of radiation poisoning. Paulina panics, and Johnny goes to get the auto to take Chanel to the sanitarium. Please note that if you buy commodity by clicking on a link within this story, we may admit a small commission of the trade. Mind Games, A Matter of Opinion, Mysterious Illness Days of Our Lives, DOOL. Spoilers for Tuesday, April 30th indicate the proverbial poop is about to hit the addict in Salem. Coming on Days of Our Lives, someone plays mind games with a foe, while two characters have a friendly disagreement, and someone mysteriously, or perhaps not so mysteriously, falls ill. What drama is set to unfold during Tuesday's show? Time to dive right in. Will John Black carry out Constantine Meliunis's instructions? DOOL spoilers for Tuesday, April 30th hint that Constantine Meliunis, John Capellos, will have John Black, Drake Hodgson, under his control and issue new orders. Tending. Days of Our Lives spoilers. Nicole's expose blows up DiMera family. Paulina's story turns Johnny against EJ and Chad. Will John carry these orders out? Sounds like Constantine will ask John to do commodity dire, so then's hoping he's stopped before John crosses a line. Speaking of the designing Greek man, added teasers note that Maggie Kiriakis, Suzanne Rogers, will tell Julie Williams, Susan Seaforth Hayes, about her marriage plans with Constantine, and it sounds like her friend will bear some concern. Will Maggie hear to what Julie has to say? DOOL spoilers, Marlena Evans objects across city. Day spoilers for Tuesday, April 30th indicate that Marlena Evans, Deidre Hall, will differ with Everett Lynch's, Blake Barris, decision to stop their Remedy sessions. Everett's personality is sluggishly shifting, and suckers are upset he could turn dangerous. Will Marlena be suitable to get through to him? Days of Our Lives spoilers, Chanel DiMera falls ill incipiently. DOOL spoilers for Tuesday suggest that both Johnny DiMera, Carson Boatman, and Paulina Price, Jackie Harry, will be veritably concerned when Chanel DiMera, Raven Bowens, falls ill. Does this have to do with her radiation exposure when her mama saved her while at the Horton cabin, during the snowstorm? Commodity has sounded off with Chanel since she returned from the entire fire, and it looks like the cleaner is heading toward a plot where Paulina will lament ever leaving her room during treatment.